Greetings. Welcome to Speak Nerd and Enter.
So you guys, did you watch? One of the things I did want to talk about, because you remember I was saying I think, or I worry sometimes that I'm just too dark, that maybe I'm, just not seeing what other people see. And I wanted to ask you about this too. And this was, well, I'm guessing, yeah. But I'm wondering if you guys are at least the same way or see things the same way. Because I know Mark, you're not as dark as I am. I think
I'm
Drew's
a glass half full kind of guy.
yeah, you are. And Drew, I think, is more like me in that, but you're not as,
I'm definitely half
dark as I
empty.
am. Yeah,
And
yeah.
my soul is dark.
But when I was watching, have you guys seen Stranger Things?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been watching that.
Okay. How do you feel about that?
I love that show.
I love it.
This-
Yeah, it's great.
It's
You do?
phenomenal.
I feel
Yes.
their depiction of Dungeons and Dragons is a little off center, but
It was
it's a
better the
show-
first time.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like it though.
So the current
Yeah,
season,
no, I'm
you are
actually really
enjoying
digging it.
it?
I just finished up
Yeah.
the mid-season finale or whatever we
Yeah,
were calling
I
it.
actually enjoyed it. I loved it. I think the writing's consistent.
Yeah.
I think they definitely are using a lot of 1980 tropes and things, which is cool,
Yeah.
which is fine.
Yeah. It's hitting the nostalgia,
Now this
button pretty hard.
season they focus every season they focus on a different set of 80s movies. Like this time it's definitely
It's the horror flicks.
It's the horror flicks, which is great. The whole like Freddy Krueger stuff is like over the top in this,
Yeah.
really strong.
It is, yeah.
But I enjoyed it. I mean, I think that I think it's one of the most consistently
Now-
good shows that a lot of people like. That's
Now,
out there right now.
I want to
Yeah.
say a lot of spoilers in this. I'm going to be talking about a lot of spoilers. So if all
We've seen it.
50
It's
of you who
fine.
watch
Go
this
ahead.
aren't going to. But I wanted Max to die. I did.
Yeah.
I feel like I never felt any angst or worry that she was in any trouble. I knew she was going to get saved, that she was going to be okay. And I felt like there's no cost here. Everyone who dies is another Ensign Roanoke Redshirt from, Star Trek, somebody that we really don't know very well or just kind of showed up for an episode or two to get beat up and broken and all that. And so there hasn't been any real cost. Now, again, I like a lot of the performances in this. I really like the interplay. Steve's my favorite. I
Yeah,
love
he's my
Steve.
favorite. Steve is awesome.
And I love his character arc because he started out as kind of a jerk.
Yep.
And, but he was never really 100% so. He was always kind of on the cusp, where
Yeah.
he kind of vacillate. And now he's become actually a decent guy.
Yeah.
And so I like him a lot. And I like the acting from a lot of them in it. But I don't feel like there's any cost. I never feel like there's any, and that's the thing with the horror movies that they're actually what they're actually paying homage to is that there was cost. That a lot of people died.
Yeah. There's always the one or two survivors, but everybody else is
Right, everybody else bites
Yeah.
it.
I don't
Johnny
think you're
Depp
gonna.
died.
I don't think you're gonna see that in this show. And I mean,
No,
the
I
I
don't.
don't
reason-
think so either.
The reason
I agree
being
with what you're
is like I
saying,
don't think everything has to be like that. Have real cost. I mean, I get what you're saying, but I mean, I think with this show, I think they know they have a large younger audience, and people want to feel good, and people are escaping through this series, and this is an escapist series. This isn't like a I want to be on the edge of my seat because someone might die series. I think it's I just want to be thrilled
Yeah. It's
and
not
see
Game
If
of
that's the
Thrones.
case,
Right.
if that's
Or
the
Walking Dead.
case, if that's the case, don't try to make me feel angst for one of your main
Why not?
characters that they're going to die, because I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to
Well, you
feel
got
angst.
to.
So why spend the time doing it? Because it's a waste of time.
Well, that goes against every television series you ever watched when you were a kid.
And
I
that's
mean, they're
what-
not going to kill James West or Artemis. They're
look,
not going to
I'm-
kill Captain Kirk or Spock on the series. I mean, it's like
That's right. That's
didn't
what the
like-
red shirts are for.
Yeah, that's one of the problems I had with Star Trek was that there was no real cost. And maybe that's because like with Star Wars there was, Uncle Ben got burned up to a crisp. And
yeah,
said,
but he was a
"Not the
nobody.
As a
I didn't really
7-year-old
like him
kid,
anyway.
when I saw that kind of set the tone. And then
Uncle
at
Owen.
the end,
Uncle
Uncle
Owen.
Owen, right?
Uncle
I knew who he
Owen,
meant.
yeah.
Took me a second.
old
Yeah.
Ben dies at the end.
Yeah, but nobody cared.
And Porkins, and there was a lot of people.
Porkins, I'm breaking up.
Another Robbie character. That's who Robbie would have been.
Porkins.
Poor Porkins.
If I could go back in
Came
time, I
from
would
behind.
rewrite Porkins' name. Let's make the fat guy Porkins.
Yeah, that's just so like.
Yeah, that wouldn't fly
wah,
today.
wah.
Yeah, right.
wouldn't fly today.
That
But-
one is not a thing.
Hey, he has his
I
own
don't-
action figure though.
He does.
I don't particularly. I kind of like the villain guy. I like him, but I don't like the costume. The costume reminds me of Swamp Thing. And
I can see the swamp coming.
Yeah.
And I asked Sean about that, my son. I asked him, I said, what do you think of the Stranger Things stuff? Because he actually likes the series, been watching. He said, well, there's a couple things that kind of bug me with it. He said, when I started watching it, I was like, that kind of reminds me of Swamp Thing. It looks like something Swamp Thing would fight, And I was like, yeah, that's exactly how I felt. It looks like a dude in a suit.
It reminds me of a Hellraiser type thing. I don't know. I think it's.
But Hellraiser was Hellraiser. I think actually looked better. This looks like a dude in a suit. But that episode, the fourth episode, I think was my biggest problem.
That's actually a dude in a suit.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Well,
This is gonna
That's
come
how
as a
most
surprise.
things are filmed. It's actually some dudes in a suit.
the Mind Flayer wasn't. The
Okay.
Demogorgon wasn't.
Okay, but they ran out of budget, and so
Go
now
ahead,
we're
Star
like,
Wars.
what are we gonna
Spin,
do?
guys, spin that.
I think the show's been a lot of fun. I
Right,
really
but,
love.
Hold on, in all seriousness, unlike those other guys, this protagonist is human.
That is true. He is human.
Not anymore.
Well, he's
Right,
yeah.
because now he's wearing the
Well.
suit.
He's human.
He was just taken into another dimension and turned
Deep
into this
down,
thing with
underneath
non-human
all of
bits
that,
and
he's-
tentacles and all that.
He's
But he's
just a
human.
man in a suit. looking
Flesh
for love,
and
like all of
bone.
us.
I'm
Right.
just
Now-
a man.
Now, I got to say this: I like what all of the kids and the girls and everybody's doing. 11, I could take or leave in so far in the series. Her being in like the underground bunker hospital thing. Like I like Paul Reiser; he's good. The other dude that's like Papa,
They needed
he's
that
pretty
though.
good.
They needed
Paul
to tell
Reiser,
Eleven's
I like
story.
Paul
We gotta get her
Reiser.
power. But again, like in previous seasons, 11 was it. You're like, oh, she's gonna,
Yeah.
defeat the big monster in the food court or whatever.
Yeah.
And she was in her going great, and I like the actress and I like her character, but I am very much digging the Scooby-Doo aspect of these kids running around town trying to solve
yeah.
this mystery.
I love the fact that Eleven didn't have her powers in school because she totally wanted to like squish that girl into gravy, And it's
And
like,
who hasn't
"Ah,
wanted to hit
reaching
somebody
out."
with a
But-
roller skate?
but
That
I
was
love-
great. Hitting her in the face with the skate.
I
That was
love her
great.
hitting her in the face with the skate because it's like it just
Yeah.
shows you that she was raised way different than everyone else around her, and she's just kind of like
I think if
I'm
somebody
gonna
did that to me,
take
I'd
the
hit him.
skate.
I'd hit him with
I
my
can
car in
relate
the
to
parking
that.
lot.
she definitely did the old Queen Dopalopicus on her.
Yeah.
Man. She definitely
I was like, yeah,
definitely
that girl
whacked her.
deserved it, man. That
she
girl
totally
deserved
did.
it. Yeah.
And then I love the Carrie callback, the whole
There was definitely
yeah.
a lot of that.
a lot of the horror stuff there.
There's a lot of, maybe that might be one of the things that actually bugs me. I've never liked Stephen King's stuff that much because Stephen King's stuff comes across as just very stereotypical. It's
tisk
always
tisk,
like,
Mr. Flintstone.
it's always, stereotypical characters. There's going to be some, religious kook in there who's going to be just over the top and completely wrong. There's going to be a cop in there that's going to be in like, it's going to be in Maine or New England, all that.
It's always
crap.
going to be Maine, yeah.
It's always going to be that. When you watch Stephen King, it's going to be that. And the monster is always going to be like a giant mouse or a spider or something stupid. And maybe that's part of the reason.
His
But
books
even
are
with
better
that-
than the movies.
Even that.
I
don't
think
get
his
me-
books are better than the movies.
Yeah, that may be. The thing that I do like, but I think on balance, I enjoy it. I do. I just didn't find that episode. It didn't do it for me. I was like, I know she's getting away. Why are we wasting time with this? Why are you doing that?
I'm glad they
I
didn't kill
didn't
her.
know she was going to get
I-
away.
I'm
I like
glad-
the whole
I'm not
aspect
saying-
of I'm going to be dead in a day. Let me write letters. Let me go do all these things. Like
Right.
she was prepared, and like I kind of enjoyed that. And the little cliffhanger ending of her like being up in the air, and we're like, oh
Yeah.
no, what's going to happen?
And
Like,
then her being saved by the power of love, the power
Yeah.
of music, the
His
old Fifth
music.
Element.
Not love.
The old Fifth Element ending.
Yeah, that's true. That was a terrible ending.
Come
Although a
on,
great movie, but a terrible ending. But
Her
you know,
running away and the villain sitting there just bringing rocks down that are barely
honestly,
missing this girl.
I
You know what I saw in that moment? I saw Princess Leia running away from guys, and for some reason, this monster with these incredible powers in his own domain.
Right, but he ran into
Can't
all the
catch her.
branches, and they were now connected to his suit. So
yeah, I'm glad they didn't. I'm glad they didn't kill her because that would have
I'm
been
not
really a
saying,
downer.
Look,
Right,
maybe
right.
I phrased
I
it
agree.
wrong.
You know.
Maybe I phrased it wrong. They don't need to kill her. What I'm saying is, why even bring her to that point? Because I know nothing's going to happen. It doesn't.
Well, they want to
There's-
show you what's happening to the other people. I mean, because that's not really clear yet. Like what's going on. Like you never got to see the full thing. You just got to know that people died, and this is
They
showing the
ended up
whole.
going over to the Upside Down anyway, though, so they
Yeah,
could
but-
see that then.
Yeah, but it still like sets it up for like.
I just felt
It
like
gives
it
them
was
also a reason because
Look,
it also
just
makes it a
because-
more personal reason for them
Right.
to intervene because it was
not
one of
red
their
shirt.
friends, you know, and not just somebody that's on the outside of the characters. They have to
Yeah.
take care of this.
that's right. It's not a red
Beastie.
shirt. It's a red
And I wish he
bag.
would kill people in a different way. I get tired of seeing that same thing. I'm like, okay, yeah, I get it. Can you do something original? Why you got to, why is it?
I kind of thought it was pretty grim.
Yeah, it was.
Well, it's grim.
was,
That's fine.
yeah.
But I mean, by the third time you've seen him, like, okay, I get it. Can you come with something new? Burst their ribs open or something? Do something different?
But that's not the thing. You got to break all their
He does
bones
it
and
in a
suck out their
specific
eyes.
Way. Come on.
You know,
Like I said, Sean, you're
Freddie
you're
was
negative
not
Nelly.
that way.
I was
Freddie
digging it.
Freddie killed people different ways. Mike Myers killed people different ways. So did Jason.
No, Mike Myers killed them all with a knife.
No, he didn't.
No,
Name one
no,
other
he
way
does
he
different.
killed.
He does
You're
different
right.
stuff.
He,
I
right.
mean,
He drowned the nurse in
I mean,
Halloween
Don't you dare.
Probably,
malign
I think
Mike
probably-
Myers.
Yeah.
Jason definitely has some great ways of killing people. Like, don't forget
Yeah.
the person in the sleeping bag. You know,
Yes.
that's like one of my favorites. Getting beaten to death in a sleeping bag has to be against a tree. Has to be one of my favorite like ways
Oh
to
my
go.
gosh. Have you guys seen the Halloween Kills movie?
Yes,
Oh yeah.
So bad.
of course. It
so
is.
bad.
Yes.
So on Halloween, we went to like this drive-in theater, right? And so a friend of mine was there with her kids, and so my wife and the 10-year-old, they were all hanging out. And so on the screen to the right, they were showing Transylvania or some kids movie or whatever. And on the other screen, they were showing Halloween Kills. So I was like, I'm gonna go over here and watch Halloween Kills. To this movie, and it was so bad.
It was
And then it like
bad.
started raining, and so my wife
Poor
and the
Mike
10-year-old
Myers.
came back and were jumped in my car by the end of the like most of the way through the movie, and we were Mystery Science theatering the just how bad.
Yeah.
So like the 10-year-old wasn't even afraid of this movie because
The first one was good though. The first one was really good. Oh, the
first
beginning,
what? Halloween movie, you mean?
yeah, of the remakes. The I have to
Yeah,
say,
where he gets burned in the
well,
basement.
right, where he gets burned in the
Right,
basement.
that one I
Sorry, not the
enjoyed.
remakes, but it's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a
yeah.
general continuation of just the first Halloween movie.
Right.
Yeah.
And
so
then
this
the
one
third-
was
what's
him
his
getting
face?
out.
That was the one. What's his face did?
Yeah, both of those he's done.
Yeah, the guy from Tropic Thunder. I can't remember his name.
He was
Yeah, I
in
can-
he's in
Les Grossman?
Gemstones. No, he's been
Huh?
in he's
Les
done
Grossman.
No.
he's done Gemstones. McBride, Danny McBride.
Yeah,
Danny
Danny
McBride?
McBride. Thank you.
Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
But anyhow, the beginning of the movie was intense with the firefighters. Now
Oh, that was so dumb.
I love that.
That
Him
was
coming
so
out
dumb.
and just
All right,
beating down
so
on
Michael
those
Myers
dudes.
gets trapped in this basement. They burn the house down around him as an attempt to kill him. That's how the first movie ended. I was like, oh, that was cool. Our heroes are driving off into the sunset. So the beginning of this movie, the fire department shows up like they do, right? They go in, they're trying to like save people or whatever, and then Michael Myers kills one of the firemen who came into the house to try and save him, and he steps out onto the porch, and all the firemen are like, oh man, he killed Fritz, and they are like hefty axes,
Kill
and
Fritz,
one dude has
yeah.
got like one of those chop saws, and I'm like, oh, this is cool because those firemen were like, oh no, let's run away. They all stepped up like, oh, you killed Fritz, we're gonna avenge you.
By the
And
way, anyone
Michael
who
Myers
knows that
waits-
reference, good on
right.
you. Yeah.
And Michael Myers wades through all of them. Nobody even lands a blow. No,
Well, they do. It doesn't hurt him.
No, I didn't see him get hit at all. And,
They
and I
try
was
to. He
just
tries to
like-
hit them with the axe. Remember the pickaxe, and he catches it. He's like, just clunk.
But I was just like, it started like up until that scene where all the firemen were like, oh, okay. And I was like, oh, this is cool. and then he just like killed them all, and nobody even got like. And I was like, oh, okay, it's gonna be that kind of movie.
Of course,
and
it's gonna be
it
that
was
kind of
all
movie.
Downhill from there. It was all downhill.
You know what I found interesting though, and I'm so glad that you mentioned your reference there, Mark, but also Helena and I have been watching a series, Love, Death, and Robots,
Oh yeah.
and I really like that style of storytelling. I really do. You guys have seen it,
You
right?
mean the small
Yes.
vignettes, or what are we talking about? That
Yes,
style
the
of
small
storytelling?
vignettes, right? It's kind of like
The
it's not
anthology
even,
kind of.
yeah, it's not even Twilight Zone because it's even shorter than Twilight Zone. It's of course a callback to heavy metal, and that style of
Right.
thing. For anyone who knows that movie, I was even too young to see that when it came out. I was so upset my sister could go see it, but I couldn't go see it, right? Um, but I like that. The small, very compact, very focused story that requires you to either swing and hit or swing and miss as,
Yeah.
the creators of it. But I dig that. I like that a lot.
Well, the thing that's
Do you
really cool.
guys,
Well, the thing that's really cool about it is the fact that, well, for one thing, I think they're getting better with every season. This is their third
yeah,
season, but the people involved, it doesn't surprise me that I like it so much. I mean, with the guy David Fincher,
yeah.
he's the guy that did
He did Bad Voyage or whatever it
no, he
was.
did
Yeah.
Fight Club
Yeah, he did
and
Fight Club.
Seven,
Well, yeah, I'm
and
talking about the episodes out of
the
those.
girl with the dragon tattoo. He's done the series of House of Cards. He's done Mindhunter for Netflix.
Oh, okay.
He did Benjamin Button. He worked on Alien 3. I mean, the guy with
Which,
Fight
by the
leave
way,
that.
is an underrated movie.
Yeah, we
I
can still
like
leave that
Alien
off.
3.
So you got that
The
guy.
prison one?
Yeah, I like that
So
one.
so you got that guy, and then you got a Tim Miller who did Deadpool. And I mean, he's really big on like designing and animation and stuff. So I mean, with those two guys together, guiding these groups of creators, I mean, you can't go wrong. I mean, particularly David Fincher. I mean, holy cow, that guy has had a lot of home runs under his name. And to have that guy in your corner and helping you get over humps and teaching you to get, getting these young creators to get these stories across. I mean, their choices for the series they're going to show have been, particularly this third season, were great. I mean, really, I enjoyed all the shows.
And I don't know, should we talk about what happens? I almost don't want to talk about what happens in them because I don't want to ruin it for anybody who hadn't seen it. But man, I do want to
Yeah,
talk about
I
it
don't
because
think we
I
have
like
to
the
talk
stuff
about
in it.
specifics if we don't want to, but I love that it runs the gambit from funny, violent,
Yeah.
thought-provoking, visually appealing, but
Well,
the
what was your
visuals in
favorite?
each of them are different.
What was your favorite, Mark?
That's hard to say. I really like the one with it's like the zombie apocalypse happens.
Night of the
What
Mini
is-
Dead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I kind of like that. Like I was like, where are we going?
That was
with this?
great. I love that.
And just kind of the way that one like came together, I was like, oh my god,
Zombies!
that was.
Not
and
in
it
my
just-
country.
And it just ended up being like this little boop. At the
Yeah,
end,
I just,
like
I love the
in
little
end.
speeded up voices.
Right.
Zombies,
right.
not my country.
Well, what else? Which other one do you like?
I liked the in vaulted halls on Entombed. That was the one with the Cthulhu
Yeah,
beast
yeah,
that was
yeah.
chained,
Oh yeah.
and
that
soldiers
was
are
with
going
the-
like
in
the
to get
military
insurgents.
That was with
Yeah.
Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has the
Monto.
weird last name.
Yeah,
He's the
yeah,
D and
one
D
who's
guy.
Yeah, the one who's
Oh,
married to the
Meg
chick from
Gyllenhaal
Modern
or something.
Family.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was he was Terminator. He played the Terminator in DC Comics.
Yeah. He also played Flash Thompson in Spider-Man
Oh yeah, that's right. In the first one, yeah.
in the very first one. Yeah.
Yeah, that show was really
was-
cool
that
because
was
I
good.
love. You're thinking like when they go in after the insurgents, you have the scientists, and they're going in the
Well,
caves.
don't ruin it. Don't ruin
Well,
it.
they are being attacked. Well, they already are. They're getting attacked by all these
It
creatures.
just said we weren't.
You know?
ruining it.
But I
We
mean,
said
the
we
thing,
didn't
that's,
have to. We've decided to. All right,
thing-
spoiler warning. Moving
thing
forward.
the thing that's cool is you're thinking that they're
Yeah.
being attacked, by like some evil entity, and it isn't. They're just it's deterrence to keep them from going into the cave and actually seeing Cthulhu, who's chained up, imprisoned, and of course there's creepy eyes and all his tentacles, and he's like saying to the two remaining soldiers, he's like, release me, release me in their brain, and of course they're totally losing their crap because that's
Yeah.
what Cthulhu does. Anyone not familiar with the H.P. Lovecraft mythos of Cthulhu is most of those things drive you insane or try to take control of your mind, and so of course the other commander goes to kill the last remaining person and she kills him. But of course, it's just cool. I mean,
Yeah.
it's visually appealing, and it's kind of puts it in. I guess it puts it in our perspective of modern day with the whole insurgents thing in Afghanistan, and it feels right that Cthulhu would be trapped in like Afghanistan somewhere in some deep cave where like some Muslim guys like entrapped him somehow, or because
You know what I
especially
thought was
the
interesting about
Necronomicon
that
is
one?
written by in Arabic, so you're guessing that makes sense somehow.
Well, you know what I thought was interesting about that episode, particularly, was, and I was wondering if this is where they were going, because I see echoes of other things, of course, in some of the episodes they do, kind of an homage, kind of like the Stranger Things, stuff.
Mhm.
And with that one, it reminded me kind of Warhammer in a way, because the stuff that was guarding the Cthulhu beast, I was like, oh my goodness, I wonder. And I asked Sean and Helena this. I was like, man, did those remind you of like Necron type things? They were all like metallic, robotic,
Yeah.
things that had been there apparently for forever and had this, weird Egyptian kind of feel to them. And I was
Yeah.
wondering where they were going with that. And I thought it was cool they mixed that with the Thulu. Nope, keeping you away from this thing because we don't
But
want this to
it
get
totally
out,
makes sense though, because like I said, Necronomicon was written, by an Arab. Is
Yeah.
like, and it's supposedly in like the secret language, but it has some Arabic in it and everything else. And
So was that your favorite episode?
well, I was with Mark. The one I've watched over and over repeatedly was damn it, the Night of the Mini Dead, the Night of the Mini Dead, because I loved it. Was funny and it was
Yeah.
neat and visually appealing. I really
Now,
liked that.
don't ruin that one. Don't ruin
I'm
that
not
one.
gonna ruin
Okay.
it, but I love the little sped up voices.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
love the whole idea of
I
it. And,
I
and
like that one a lot.
I like
like
Bad Traveler, the first one. That
Bad
was
Traveler.
the big crab.
Yeah, Bad Traveler was
Oh,
good.
okay.
That was
That
creepy.
was the one.
Yeah,
That was
that
the
was
first
creepy.
one. Well, that was the first one Fincher did
Yeah,
himself, where he directed that himself.
I like him
And
holding up, and it's gonna be. I don't, you got to talk about it. I mean, when this crab is
he
holding up the
just said he's
corpse.
not gonna. He just
Well,
said,
he
"I'm
didn't
not
spoil
gonna."
the other one. He's going to spoil this one.
He's-
Shut up.
I'm not spoiling it, but the crab holds up a corpse and communicates through the
Yeah,
voice of the
Yeah.
dead guy, like,
Right,
I thought
right.
that was so scary,
Yeah.
creepy.
Well, that came across as very Fincher. That did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
And
But
I,
did
I like
that.
the one with the
thing
three
I like-
robots who were exploring,
That was good.
like,
yeah.
like
That-
that was very funny.
They're in
Yeah.
every season too. Those three
Right,
dudes,
right.
yeah.
And the one that was like the rat exterminator
I like.
war
I
going
like that
on.
one
Like, that was
robot.
hilarious.
I
That
like
was
that one
funny.
robot going by go team, because she found the pom poms. Remember?
Oh,
Right.
Um, I liked Pop Squad. I like that. That was
Pop
the
Squad
Blade
was-
Runner. That was the Blade
Oh,
Runner.
yeah, where they can't have kids
Yeah,
because they
I
live
like-
forever.
I liked that one a lot. Not because it had some big twist or anything. I just like, again, it was a very compact story, a definitive arc, and you were invested in it right off the bat.
Yeah.
And I loved that. And there was nothing really gratuitous or anything in there. As a matter of fact, it really just kind of pulled at your heartstrings as a human being. And I thought that was a great story. I really liked that one. And I don't know if you noticed the juxtaposition of the two, what you would have expected the female and male characters to be in there, but I like that. So there was Pop Squad and Beyond the Aquila Rift. I like that one.
Yeah, the girl that the two women that are
Yeah.
on the planet and the one's
Well,
dead.
Oh,
And-
right.
Yeah,
that
and
one I
dragging
really
her
liked.
corpse. Yeah, that was
Uh-huh.
trippy,
No.
man.
No. I don't know if you're talking about the same one I'm talking about. Beyond the Aquila Rift is where the crew is going on the spaceship through that big space portal. And he wakes up, and this lady that he's known way back in time is like, hey, you made it here. And You know,
That was from season 2.
That was season 2.
I know. I'm
Oh,
saying
okay.
your
Oh, well,
favorite.
you're-
I'm not talking about just.
I'm talking
I'm
about
not
season
talking about
three,
just-
man.
I'm not talking about just.
What are
I'm
you
talking about
doing?
all.
Come on, no one's tuning into here talking about an old
You're just
season.
getting us off the
We were
rails.
doing that. I like the World War II Russian dudes who were fighting like the werewolves. I mean, that one was
Yeah,
one of my
or what
favorites.
about the dude that goes
Not the
up and gets
werewolves. You
shot
talking
down?
about you talking about the Russian ones who were fighting the demons, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What about the
Yeah.
guy that crash lands on the planet and he like finds the emergency center, the emergency hub, and goes inside and the robot is defective and tries to kill him?
That was
Yeah.
Michael B. Jordan, wasn't it? That was
that was Michael B.
I
Jordan,
love
yeah.
that too, and it was a cleaning droid. You know,
What about the giant
It was
human
a-
that
that's-
washes up on
It's got
shore?
paranoia written all over it.
and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, why are you going to make a janitor droid that's you know,
That's totally cool.
so messed
and
up.
what about
It was
like the
you were in
giant?
paranoia?
Remember the
Yeah.
giant human that washes up on shore, and
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
the people are like spray painting it, and
You know, I
freaking
heard a lot
cigarette
of people.
butts and
I heard a lot of people saying that one reminded them the most of like a Terry Gilliam kind of story.
Yeah, I could see
you
that.
know? Yeah, and that one was sad in a way.
it was
too,
sad.
You know, it was very sad.
It just
But
showed you
I-
what creeps people are.
I got the idea that was kind of like what is the name of that old fable with what's his face and the little people who come up in time up?
Gulliver's Travels.
Gulliver's Travels,
Yes, thank
yeah.
you, thank
the
you.
Lily
Like that, but gone
Putins
wrong,
and
right?
and then the big guys. They were like giant. They were also like there were little people, the Lily Putins, and then the big guys. Yeah.
So I like, man. I see when I was talking about favorite, I meant all because I don't think many people have seen that series. I think they look at maybe the title and they figure, well, you know, what am I going to watch that for? But man, it's really cool. And if you
I'll tell
don't
you why,
like
because it has
something,
love, death, and robots.
well, it's true. But
It
if
is a
it's
great
something,
series.
if it's something you don't like, you've only invested 8 minutes.
And
10
anyone that
minutes.
hasn't watched that, man, that loves any kind of good storytelling or animation or any kind of science fiction or fantasy, they should definitely dig
Definitely.
in and
Yeah.
watch those because they're
and it's
quick
got
and
so many
easy.
styles of animation, you know, they're
and
all
you'll
different.
lose yourself in it. It's like you look up the clock and you're like, oh my god, I didn't realize I've been
Yeah.
watching these that long.
And some of them you don't want 'em in.
visually. Visually, it's beautiful in many of those. Like one of my other favorites is what is the name of it?
Jimbaro.
Jimbaro.
Jibaro. Yeah,
That
that
was
one's great.
Visually, it was
Look
beautiful.
what I found.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's I wish I knew. I can't remember who directed that, but visually, it's stunning. I mean, the
It was
story's
like a
great.
Hispanic dude. I can't remember his name.
That makes sense because it has that conquistador kind of feel.
Yeah, and
to
he
it.
said he mixed in he wanted a group of knights from all around the world kind of thing and
Yeah.
give him a feel. But the thing that's kind of interesting is I just saw a like a short with him. He said that the story is about a toxic relationship.
Yeah, I
Because
get
the
that.
guy, basically the woman is a siren and she's calling the knights to her in this lake, and of course they're all like killing
Yeah.
themselves trying to get to her. But the main character is
Yeah.
deaf, and he basically doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah, no.
And then of course he gets greedy because she's
Now
covered in.
don't ruin that one.
Oh, okay.
'cause that
She's
one
just
was
covered
cool.
in gold, and the dancing and the
You can
way
tell from
she
the picture.
looks
It
is
was great.
amazing. The motion in her figure
That
and
was
all.
the thing. We were talking about directing, right, with Star Wars before and
Yeah.
Obi-Wan and everything. That was an episode I felt had really great direction because obviously it's
Yep.
real actors who are, motion cap stuff and all that, and the dance moves, and I don't even want to call it dancing. The movements that she had
Just
were
phenomenal.
just so amazing. When she's laying there and doing her weird thing, it's alien-like.
Yeah.
And creepy in a way, and yet you feel for her. You
Well,
feel
they hired all the actors were dancers that they did
Yeah.
motion capture for. They were all dancers, and they put together this thing. He basically talked about what he wanted to do, and these dancers did the choreography. And if you look at this, it isn't necessarily obvious when you see the knights all running for the water. that they are dancing.
No, you could see
I
it.
mean, when
yeah.
you see it a little bit when
Yeah.
you start to recognize, like, yeah, it's like this crazy dance of death.
I thought
know?
it was, that's what I thought was when she started doing her thing, they went into this crazy, like, it was like they were listening to some demon from Slanesh and they just went into this dance of death thing.
And they're like killing each other to get to her love and her, just for her, only them, and you can't have her. There can be only one. And
only
that's
for them
great.
in the end to be served.
That one was really cool. So that one, the Beyond the Aquila Rift, the Pop Squad, I really liked that one a lot. What else? There was another one that I really liked too. I can't remember, but they had so many good ones.
The weakest one was definitely like the big robot bear, I thought, in the third season. I thought that was the weakest, but it's not terrible. But I thought it was the weakest one.
Well, that's the thing.
I agree, but it was fun.
It was fun,
for what
right?
it was. You were
like,
like,
there's no bad episodes. It's just not the strongest
I like
of all of them.
One. I like the Christmas one with Santa Claus.
Oh yeah,
I like that. That was cool. But even if it's a bad one or one you don't particularly connect with,
it was 10 minutes of your life.
Yeah, you've lost like 8 minutes, and there's going to be something in it that you're going to be like, oh, that's pretty cool. I like that.
It makes me want to watch Bad Traveler again and see the creepy crab.
See the creepy crab.
Oh my God, that thing was creepy.
I hope people watch that because I know Netflix is going through its troubles and everything, and it's cutting all kinds of animated shows, especially. Man, I hope they don't lose that because that's really cool.
Considering all the garbage they have on their network, this is. To choose from, this is a gem. This is totally.
A few years ago, Netflix was it in streaming. So they had that kind of, they could ride that wave, and then they had a couple of really hit shows and whatnot. But now everyone has a streaming platform, right? You're dealing with Apple, you're dealing with Hulu, you're dealing with Paramount Plus and Disney Plus and Amazon Prime and whatnot. And so it's crowded. You can't be like, I'll take this movie and it'll make money.
Don't you think that? Don't you think as a streaming service, right? If you were the CEO in charge, and let's be honest, if anybody were, Mark would be that guy. So if Mark,
Mark's right.
Yeah, Mark's the one who's the most, he's the most entrepreneurial that way. He just is.
I don't think that was a compliment.
You were going to be
about being in charge of Netflix. They're like giving everybody deals. I have a story about a janitor who cleans. Okay, I'll sign you up.
Actually, that would have been better than many of the stuff I've seen them actually put out. If you were in charge of some service like that, wouldn't this be an ideal property to have, an ideal creative thing to have, so that if something flies, if you get a story out there that catches, you're like, maybe we should expand on that. Kind of like
or the team, even the creative team.
And here's the thing with this format, right? Because remember, Netflix isn't out there making all this stuff themselves, right? Filmmakers make those things, or they make shows, or the way, because that's why they're bringing in shows from like Korea, like Squid Game and whatnot. That was a show in Korea, and Netflix bought it and did the English subtitles or dubbing or whatever. And so, like, here's the thing where you can be like, hey, do you have an 8-minute long ish story, animated, that we could put into this in ongoing anthology series that, I don't know how many different episodes are in the season, 6, 8, 10, whatever that number is.
I think 8. Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
Right. But, you, like I say, if that opens up the ability to bring in new voices or to tell stories that don't have to, let's spend $100 million to make a movie and cross our fingers and really hope that this flies. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like John Carter of Mars, they spent a bunch of money on that and it didn't quite fly the way they wanted it to. This is a smaller barrier to entry if you're filming in 8 minutes of something.
And you don't need much. You just need an idea and 5 or 10 minutes around it to fill in.
And then you can have multiple teams, right? You can have working at once. Right. And you have your head guys like David Fincher and Tim Miller, kind of like getting these guys started on the project and periodically checking in with them, and helping them get things done. Because that's what they're there for, is to keep rails on this creativity and get it to a finished product and encourage these young dudes to finish this. And, particularly, can you imagine having that job? You're working on a small show, you're doing your dream in your head, the story you want to tell, and then you're like, but I don't know quite how to resolve this issue, and you have a guy like David Fincher that will give you advice. I
Yeah.
mean, he's got like a huge width of, the breadth of his work is remarkable. He covers all genres, and it just would be spectacular to learn from that guy.
Right.
The other benefit to that would be is how actors and creative people in general can get very tired of doing the same thing over and over again. Well, here's something that allows you to, get them involved without ever being tied down to one thing, unless you want to explore something or something like that. But there's always the option for doing something different. There's always, something different around the corner in the same project, so you don't have to go hunting, and doing that. It just seems like it would be an ideal thing, not just for this, but even for Star Wars. I know, Drew, you weren't much about the Star Wars, what was it called, Legends or something? I forget what it was called.
Oh, the anime.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
It's just because
anime.
it was anime. I'm not a big anime guy. I don't
They
know.
had a couple.
But I mean, What
stories
If
in
is
there.
another great example. What If just all happens to take place in the Marvel universe, and the animation style was I think the same across all of them. But it was kind of the same. Like, let's tell these little 10, 12-minute stories set within a universe that we're familiar with. Like I said, I think the format isn't getting enough love, and in a literary standpoint, there's still anthologies that come out all the time. There's not a whole lot of that on the kind of video front, other than I think this series and What If are the two that really come to mind.
Yeah, that's about it. Well, I mean the Star Wars one, but I don't know if they're bringing that back.
Yeah, and again, What If is all in a very specific sandbox, so that almost doesn't count because this is the gambit, and
It's
the fact
very
that
unique.
it's sci-fi heavy. You know what I mean? Like, we're telling
Yeah.
stories that definitely have a science fiction bent.
Love, death, and robots.
And robots. Like, it works. It works.
It's one
And
of
this
those.
yeah.
Sometimes both, sometimes all.
And that's what I was thinking. Like, I also love that they're not putting any constraints on these stories, right? If you want
Yeah.
to tell something that's funny and PG, cool, knock yourself out. If you want to get ridiculously over the top violent because it's animated, right? You can have Tom and Jerry levels of of violence and mayhem, and some of it is realistic and some of it is cartoony, and there's been some nudity and things like that. But it seems like, do what you want, we're going to put it out, and it can be rated R, PG-13, PG. That it seems to be like it's up to the individual storyteller.
Yeah, I love
and
the variety.
Helena's favorite, by the way, was the one where the chick was fighting in the pit or not fighting in the pit, but she was the proxy for the two monsters fighting in the pit. I don't remember what season.
That's season 1, I think.
Whichever season it was, that's her favorite. She likes that.
Yeah, that was season 1, I think.
Was it season 1? I thought it was later. Well, whichever it is, that's the one that was her favorite. She dug that. She dug that one a lot.
This concludes our Speak Nerd and Enter broadcast.